Yay, sunfish will work. And we might do leafy sun dragon on that. Okay, I got it. You want the iPad in front of you or no? Well, you're going to be wandering, so.
All right. So, so then if you would, actually, I think for this exercise, you'll want them to use laptops. Is that correct? Yeah,
Yes.
so leave your laptop off. But if you would stop chatting and discussing the quiz and leave it, of course, I've set it up so you'll be able to come back to the quiz and renew where you left off. Once you've submitted a question, you won't be able to come back to that, but you'll be able to progress and finish it until 11:59 tonight. Okay, and right now, please join me in welcoming Ruth Gustafson from the UC Davis Library, who is a specialist in marine and aquatic resources. She spent time at Scripps University, or Scripps Institute, I guess, at UC San Diego.
Yeah.
And now she's here, and she's an amazing resource, and this is your chance to meet her. And so welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Everybody can pick up from the mic? Good, okay. Zoom session, hopefully you can hear me. So hi, everybody. I'm located at Shields Library, which, as you know, is just down the new walkway, right? Past the Students Community Center. Any of you transfer students here? Okay, and this is your first quarter? Yeah, so you're, oh, no, okay, so you know things. So I am going to skip a bunch of stuff that we normally cover because I want to get to the meat of the searching. I have this list of all the species of fish or other animals that you signed up for, and I'm going to take sample searches and I'm going to just zoom into a whole complex of amazing databases we have for you. Now, I'm just going to brag and say that we have more animal-related literature and databases to search that literature than any other UC. Okay, get ready. Better than Berkeley. Woohoo! And I'll just say, Peter Moyle, who's a guest lecturer of yours, actually pulled me aside in a hallway one time. He says, Ruth, you know, you have everything I need for the fisheries. It's just amazing, the collection. So yay for Davis. And it's a collection that's been built over more than 100 years, right? So it's not just me, it's all the librarians who came before me who built those collections. In addition, you know that there's also the Bodega Marine Lab that's part of UC Davis. It's not part of the library system, the little library out there. I used to actually be the librarian out there. So I have that 3 years of intense, wonderful experience working directly with researchers, basically meeting with them all the time. So my background is in marine biology. I actually got accepted for a PhD program at William and Mary, but life interfered. And so it's become my avocation. And when I worked at UC San Diego in the library there, I trained, and it was very intense, as a docent at Scripps Aquarium, and was a docent there for years. Okay, so I love fish. I love anything to do with marine or aquatic environments. So VPN, all I'm going to say is you need it when you're off campus. So right now you're all on EduRoam. You don't need it, right? But when you're off campus, for those of you who don't already know, up here at the top, and this is kind of hard to show with the, well, let me move this over here. It's at the very top right of the library homepage, okay? And the instructions are specific to platforms. If you have any trouble, scroll down where it says have trouble. You can fill out a tech report. How many of you have it loaded on your computers or devices right now? Yeah, the VPN. The Pulse Secure is the one we use, the library, okay? To avoid confusion, some departments actually run their own VPNs. You must use the library VPN because we have contacted our thousands of publishers to tell them these are our valid users. So you have to use the library one. Okay, I don't want to talk any more about that. Subject guides. Hopefully all of you have used these. How many of you have used the library subject guides? Oh, only a few. Okay, so I'm ready to go because now you know about this. I could probably walk away from the class right now. But anyhow, these are organized by colleges pretty much. But I'm going to actually scroll through if you want to scroll through with me, looking probably at the College of Ag, Environmental Sciences or Biological Sciences. What do you see as subject guides that would be helpful for this class? There's probably more than one. What was that? Fisheries and aquaculture. Did I hear that? Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Animal science. If you're looking at another one, maybe. Yeah. Marine biology and oceanography. Okay. So you could take any of those paths. It depends on your focus. For today, I think with fisheries, you probably want the fisheries and aquaculture one. First thing you're going to find out with any of these subject guides is who is the librarian who buys in this area and is happy to help you with consultations and questions and so on. And so just keep in mind that you can make an appointment with that librarian. See, book an appointment with Ruth right there. And then the next part is the table of contents. Think of this as the brain dump from your librarian. I'm telling you all the stuff we have that can support research in fisheries and aquaculture. And as I mentioned, as you go through, you'll notice I have so many databases that I have a category for subject specific, which means all they really are is about fisheries, aquaculture, or marine sciences. And then generalized cover a heck lot more, but still are important to you. And indeed, if you look at the generalized databases, I'm going to start out with Biosis because Biosis is really a major database for all life sciences. And on your handout, if you look at the back side, I've got a database comparison table. And look at how many millions of records are in Biosis, and it goes back to the 1920s, okay? So that's really, for anybody in the biological sciences, it's a great starter database. I am not talking about Google and Google Scholar today because precision searching is what a librarian is about. These databases help you with precision searching. So for example, all of them have some way of doing taxa searching so you can specify fish and be sure that it is an article about fish, not about the fluorescent immunoassay, whatever sorbent, which is a test that's FISH, right? So if you use a taxa, you're going to get exactly what you want in the life sciences databases. That is so important. So they all have it built into them. I forgot to introduce my colleague, Eric Fassick. He's a vet med librarian. And actually, if you have any questions while we're going to, especially when I start doing the searching, just raise your hand and Eric will try and sneak in and help you out if you have any questions. Okay. All right. Zoological record, you can see, wow, zoo record. Look how far back that goes. 1850s, okay? So no way Google's going to have the coverage that's in here. This database was founded because in the mid 1800s, there were all those explorations that were going out and earlier, and they needed a place to deposit naming new species. So keep a record of that new species. So that's where that strange name comes from, zoological record. And a lot of the first description of your organism might be in there. So even if you use Biosis, just out of curiosity, if you want to see, is that first publication that newly described your organism in there and find out, oh, was it 1892, 1912? You know, that's kind of fun to look at as well. I'm going to go ahead and mention, okay, so the specialized databases are above. And look at that. Look at, you've got aquatic sciences and fisheries abstracts, really an excellent database. Its only fault is it goes only back to 1970s. But this is put out by FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization. And there's a lot of collaboration actually with a Marine Science Librarians group that I belong to that's international. We collaborate in putting text and other things in there with them. We also have fish, fisheries, and aquatic biodiversity worldwide. You're like, oh my gosh, how many fish databases can you have? This is actually put out from a company in South Africa. And what I find is the literature coverage, it helps with the developing countries in Africa, and it goes a little bit beyond the coverage in the other databases. So if you have one of those rare fish that maybe the regional distribution is in that area, you might want to consider this. It is a much smaller database. You can see the content is probably the smallest of all of them, right? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the searching, but I do want to point out one thing. So if you click here under UC Davis Library, that's the logo to take you back to the home page. The big databases are under the databases button. The only one that I talked about was Biosis. There it is. Right now, though, this summer, a lot of stuff changed. The library webpage changed. You might notice we have 4 buttons instead of 6. Don't worry, the other 2 buttons are still there. They're just named different things, and you can still see them. They're just not buttons. The other thing that happened is the library catalog. So the catalog, this is all 10 UCs. We basically threw out our individual catalogs and said, here you go, big catalog, all the UC libraries. But for you, what that means is, do you really want to have to search everything all at once when you really want to see what's at Davis? So if you want to see what's at Davis, you should do local catalog only and click on advanced search. And now when you're looking for books, especially in the fish area, looking at all of the different species that are listed here, a whole book is going to be a very well-studied organism, right? That an entire book is written about it. So we had an expert out at the Marine Lab at the time that I was out there who was an expert on great white sharks, Peter Klimley. And so he wrote a whole book, at least one, on great white sharks. And so you could probably search for that, no problem. But a lot of our other sharks that are listed here, probably not a whole book. Just keep in mind, there are lots of what I call collected works of organisms. So there's a ton of books on sharks' rays, you know, that is all the sharks and rays, or maybe from a geographic region. So you will find your organism, but it won't be an entire book. It'll be a section or a chapter. And these are excellent. And I know we're not anywhere near the library. I highly encourage you to go to Shields Library. Once you've got that initial call number for maybe the shark area, just look at all of the books that are on the shelf. And you can check out up to 300 if you want. Okay, so I'm going to do great white shark. Now, great white shark has something that you need to do, which is you need to say that the 3 words are side by side, right? Can everybody see that, or should I bump the font up? Back row, it's a little hard. Let me bump the font up. Can you see it now, back row? Yeah, excellent. Thanks for the thumbs. Okay, so the quotation marks are telling me these 3 words have to be side by side. This is so important in science when you're doing taxonomic searching, because you want genus species to be side by side. If you don't put those quotation marks, then you're going to get all the articles with the genus and of course species you want, but you might get way more genus stuff you don't want, right? So really important from now on, quotation marks for your genus species, okay? Now, in our article databases that I mentioned, you will need to do both common name and your scientific name. That is absolutely the most comprehensive. And actually, I will admit in some databases, if you don't have the scientific name, you'll get like next to nothing, okay? So very important, standard practice, literature searching, always look by common name or put the word or and then your scientific name. But with books and book catalogs, typically the scientific name isn't always on the title of the book. And so I think I can get away with great white shark. Now I have another character right here, a little asterisk right after shark. Anybody have an idea what that little asterisk is doing? Yes. Excellent. Wildcard, it allows variance in spelling. So it's going to get shark, sharks, plural, possessive, shark diver if it's one word. Okay, so any variation. Just be a little careful with this because you can go too wild with the wildcard. So I'll use, sorry, I don't have fish equivalent for this. So if I do dog, D-O-G, that's pretty safe with the wildcard, D-O-G asterisk. I might get dogma, doggerel, doggone. Not too many problems with that one, right? What about cat, C-A-T with a wildcard? Tell me a problematic word you can get with C-A-T wildcard. What was that? Catch, absolutely. cataract. My favorite, catastrophe. It is a catastrophe. If you do CAT wildcard, catecholamines, CAT scans, I mean, on and on. So in that case, if you want that organism, just say cat or cats. That's probably the best. Or look for your taxonomy and see if you can use that. Okay. All right. So great white shark, you've been waiting. My person with great white shark is like, come on, just click the search button. And by the way, you see on the advanced search, I have all these controls I can control by language. I will say our resources, when we bought it before the 80s in the sciences, we bought in most European languages. So you might run into something that's not in English language. Whoa, there you go. Great white sharks in the museum. So this is actually collected sharks, okay? Comprehensive study of all sightings in the Mediterranean. We have 37 results. I think the person with the great white shark topic is going to be very happy because an entire book, 100 pages or more, right? Now, some of them are online. If you want, you can go ahead and click on just full text online and you will be very happy with those. I'm going to actually go ahead and click on available in the library because I want to talk about 3 new services we started during COVID time and we decided to keep them. So one of them is shipping books. Have you taken advantage of that? Yeah. Yeah. It's actually a new service where we'll ship the whole book to your home address. Okay. So if you just don't have time to step foot in Shields, but you find that there's some great books. If it's print only, you can go ahead and do that. So Great White Shark, Myth and Reality. And what you'll do is you'll have to sign in. So have patience with me while I type my really long, ridiculous Kerberos. Oh, we'll use yours. Thank you. Well, I'll make sure we don't check out this book to you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Duo is going to go to you. Yes, we're using Duo now. That was something that changed in June. Not only the VPN, but then also Duo with the library. Thank you, John. I won't check it out. Okay, so you see 2 options for a print-only item, request. So request is, I want to pick it up either, so you can pick it up where it is at Shields. If you're actually based on the west end of campus, you could actually have it sent over to Carlson, which is near the Vet Med complex. Your other options, see, this is new, home address delivery, okay? So if you want to do that, just keep in mind US Post Office, right? So it might take a couple days to get to you. But the other thing is, this is brand new. We are actually, if you don't have time to do more than step foot in Shields, grab some things and go. This is called a hold shelf. And now it is available for you to just walk across from the checkout desk. There's a long shelf. It's actually totally full of books right now. And we've already pulled the item and checked it out to you. You just go find your name alphabetically in the long line and grab the books and go, okay? So that's also new. Yes? Yes, so if you do a request, you will get an email. So the other thing is digitization. So if you only want a chapter, the other option is this, digitization. You'll get an email and it'll say, hey, here is the link or here's the way to get to your electronic copy. For the hold shelf, I think it'll notify you it's on the hold shelf. It's usually 1 to 2 working days because they pull the giant lists off like twice a day and takes them the whole day to find them. Let's see, the other request, I don't know if they do that for mailing. Do you know that, Eric? I don't know if they actually say, hey, we've mailed it to you. You should just assume. Yeah. The thing that might happen is if they have a problem. So maybe it's not on the shelf where it needs to be, so they can't do it. Then you'll get an email probably with, I have a problem. Let's follow up with you. Okay. So this is really cool services, COVID time, but we're going to keep them. Any questions about this? Yes. So if you live in the Davis area, I mean, it should be pretty quick, right? And I was talking to grad students earlier during COVID time. One grad student was stuck, poor thing, in Vancouver, British Columbia, where I grew up. So I'm like, yeah, I want to be stuck there. And she said, really, you'll ship it to me? And we did. So we're shipping to other countries, other states as well. So those of you who are on the Zoom, just keep that in mind. Yeah, so just think about normal US Postal Service and how it's been going. So maybe it'll take 4 days in Davis. I would hope it would be less. Yeah. Okay, so that was pretty much all I wanted to do to talk about the catalog. So I'm going to move right to the databases, and I'm checking on my time. I got 20 minutes. Yes. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Biosis. This summer, Biosis completely changed its interface. It's actually the whole platform called Web of Science. So we have like 10 databases licensed with them, and 2 of them are right on your handout. So on the Web of Science platform, you have Biosis and zoological records. So the kind of way you do searching in Biosis, you can transfer that over. Just keep in mind, every database has its own subject indexing from the company that created the database. And so zoological record was actually started by the Zoological Society of London. So guess what? British spelling, right? So just keep in mind that thesaurus behavior is going to have a U, right? So think of the subject thesaurus as the backbone of each of these databases. Without a backbone, you're going to flop around, right? That's what kind of floppy searching you're going to do if you don't use the really great subject indexing that's available to you. So I'll give you a quick example with aquatic sciences and fisheries abstracts. This is all about water, whether it's brackish, whether it's freshwater, or so on. So they have one field in aquatic sciences and fisheries abstracts that nobody else does. I actually think it's on the sheet here if you look down. Maybe it's not. Yeah, there it is, under unique subject fields. It's called, it's a strange name, environmental regime. You can put 3 words there: freshwater, brackish, marine. That's really important if all you want is an organism living in one of those environments, right? So very important for this database. And so that is a specialized field, subject field for them. Okay, so what's going on with Biosis? The new interface. I'm very unhappy with it because they didn't put all the subject indexing in there yet. So Biosis Previews is what I teach and what I use. They're telling me they actually want to kill it and create Biosis Citation Index as the only resource, but the full content that we can get to is actually better in Biosis Previews for right now. So we're having a battle royale about this, but anyhow, the gist of it is you're missing concept codes, which are subject indexing. So how do I get around this? Up here at the top, oh, here we go, my picture's in the way again, under products. You can see classic version. Well, classic, I mean, July, it was the version. Okay, so you can go to that all the way through fall quarter. I actually just got a kind of email that said they might kill it in January of 2022. The UC wide is the largest license for them in the world. We're talking to them about that because they need to transfer stuff over. So I'm going to go to the classic version. But while we're on the subject of your class, let me show you one thing that I developed for you a couple of years ago, which is a very specialized type of subject guide. And it's called a course guide. Has anybody used course guides for any of your classes, library course guides? Nope. Okay. So this button here, you see it says subject and course guides. So if I click on all course guides, these are completely open. Anybody in the world can look at them. So Canvas, only people that are students can look at your Canvas, but here you can look at these. So I will say Eric has caused a problem for me because alphabetically you hit vet med and you wonder if you're ever going to get to WFC. There it is, way down at the bottom. So WFC 120. Really a great kit for you to use in addition to the subject guides, okay? And I wanted to just point out that for databases, I went ahead and intentionally put the classic link because that is so important. I think you need to go to that. And If you see a bunch of purple, that's the new one. If you see the blue, then you are at the classic link. So what am I talking about? What's all this big to do that I'm talking about here? So if we look under concept codes, whoops, kind of hard to draw this down here. Concept codes. This database started in the 1920s. And at that time, biologists said there's too much literature in the 1920s, about 100 years ago. Too much literature. Can you imagine? Now they'd be like freaking out. So they created this thing called biological abstracts. And then actually this is merged with a couple other tools as well. So Biosis previews is a way to look at the literature quickly without having to read the stuff all yourself, right? So it's what's called a guide to the literature. When you're searching it, you're searching a representation of each item. So if it's an article or a patent or a book chapter. So you're not searching the entire full content. Remember, this was created in the 1920s. They didn't have digital content there, right? So you're searching things to help you find your literature. And being scientists, being biologists, they're like, well, you know, I don't want to scan the monthly issue of this. I want to look for my section on my research. So they created a 5-digit coding system. And if you look closely, it's really, really, really dim. Here's the 5-digit code. First 3 digits, the broad category. So that's the toxicology area. 08, specific area of that broad category. So the veterinary aspect. So probably human toxicology is 0 something else, right? So that's how the coding system works. And so if you're interested in behavior, for example, select from the list. Select from the list is what's missing from the new version of Biosis. Can you believe it? Anyhow. And think of these concept codes as very broad. So they're kind of at the level of your majors, right? So biochemistry, ecology, anatomy, physiology, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's do behavior. I can do that wildcard. This is actually an American company, Biosis. So it would be American spelling of behavior, but you can cover your bases with a wildcard. And so now I'm going to see, oh, we have animal behavior. Oh, but animal communication, general and comparative behavior, human behavior. So what I see is 070 is pretty much the behavior category, right? So, and I probably, maybe I want both communication and behavior. So I can actually take that code. So let me scroll down here. Oh, it's hard to get around this. And I'm going to, now I can just do a wildcard. 070 is behavior everything. And go like that. Now I mentioned taxa. So taxa is really, really important. So let's go down here. You have 2 types of taxa in Biosis. And you have what is taxa broad, I call it, taxa notes. Kingdom to about order, superorder, okay? A few species like human in there. That's a pull down menu. This is not, this is also select from a list. Taxonomic data, family level. So if you know family level, you could search by that name, okay? So for right now, I'm gonna just do taxa notes. In the new version of Biosis, the gray button is not there. It assumes you know that if you click on this box, oh, there's this menu of vocabulary that's taxa. And so let's go to fish. So again, you should never, ever, ever type in as a keyword fish because you will get that fluorescent immunoabsorbent assay, which is an acronym FISH. Also, many authors may never say the word fish. They may assume you know it, and they're going to put their genus species name only, or they're going to say, so green sturgeon, okay? And they assume you know it's a fish, okay? So the indexer, a human being, read every one of these articles and put all these subject terms, including the taxa on it. So literally some of these taxonomic descriptions where they're basically reclassifying and they may list like 200 organisms, they will do the taxa for every one of those organisms. It's a lot of work. Okay, so I got fish, but yeah, you know, let's go ahead and add a row here. And I'm going to do, let's do Garibaldi, the state. We have 2 fish that are state fish. Did you know that? 2 fish, marine, Garibaldi, and then freshwater. Anybody know what the freshwater is? Yes. The golden trout, yes. It wasn't on the list. I was like, the golden trout isn't here. This is state fish, whatever. Okay, so Garibaldi, yeah. Okay. So
It's like actinopterygians or acanthophrygians. Only if it's tagged that way, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. So Garibaldi is a one-word common name. That's actually very unusual. And in most databases, if you put Garibaldi, you have to watch out because it is a person's last name. So it could be named, applied to geography, right? It could be applied to a lot of areas. So that's a reason to do fish, right? Is to get the Garibaldi, but the fish, I don't want the, Garibaldi Straits or whatever else, okay? Probably a wild card just in case it's possessive. But what's my best search? This is not my best search. What's going to be my best search? Find that scientific name, right? So here's a quick way to find the scientific name. Do a title search. So what I'm saying is Garibaldi has to be in the title. And standard scientific practice is to, in the title, put your common name and then in parentheses, the scientific name. I said standard scientific practice. How many people follow that here? Let's see. Well, where's Garibaldi in the title, first of all? What did I do? Okay, Garibaldi. Oh, it stayed on topic. Interesting. Okay, maybe there were none with title. That might be what's going on. Let's see. Oh, because I'm doing behavior. There we go. Lots of yellow in the title. Okay. And, oh, there we go. Good for number 3. Oh, try and pronounce that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Hyphopsis rubicundus. Rubicundus, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. So to be more comprehensive, you should grab this. I'm going to control that and I'm going to go back to the search. So your most comprehensive search is to say this or my scientific name. Remember those quotes, right? And I tend to, off the species name, I tend to back up a couple of steps because sometimes there's possessive or there's weird Latin variations, right? And so that just covers my bases, just a couple steps back. And then the punctuation is going to be removed. And by the way, the capital letters does not impact, it ignores capital. So it'll take it no matter how it is. So this is probably my most comprehensive search as well as I change it to topic, right? I'm going to actually get rid of this because I want to just show you everything on the Garibaldi right now. Because there's another way to get to behavior. So you're supposed to discuss the natural history, the reproduction, all these different aspects of your fish, right? And so if you look over on, let me scroll down here. These are the concepts, but they're not only the subject terms, they're if it's the main point of the article. So you can use this to drill down to, maybe you've already found information on reproduction, but you need to find information on behavior and other things. I'm going to click on more options to get me this table. This is another thing that's not in the new version. The new version, it's a long scroll down list. This is much easier to use. So you're like, well, I already have reproduction, but maybe I want stuff on nutrition. And maybe I want stuff on biosynchronization. Interesting. And behavior. Oh, and communication. See? So you can just check off, what do I need? Again, all of this has been added by the indexers. So Google and Google Scholar, there is no subject indexing done by experts in the areas. These people all have degrees in biology who index in this database. It's a way, it's actually a job. Usually people do it as a sidelight. So just keep in mind, this is a great way to, narrow your search to just the things you want. Okay, I got like 6 minutes. How do I find out if we own this? So let me go ahead. Whoops, this is weird. So I'm going to go to search history. Let's see. And you can click on the number for the one that you want. Oh, damselfish. So it might be comparing the Garibaldi. Female Garibaldi prefer. Okay, so I want this one. It's in this journal called Ethology, Ecology, and Evolution. Actually, let me click on the title. If you find an article you love, over here, you can see who cited it and maybe find other people working in the same area. That's a cool tool to use. So you go from a 1994 article to something in the future. Now, this particular one, it looks like they either did not cite anything in their bibliography, or it doesn't match the criteria for this separate database, which is peer-reviewed, top-cited only. And I think ethology, ecology, and evolution is peer-reviewed, so it just might not be one of the top-cited ones. Okay. All right, so we want to find this article. So I'm going to click on Get It at UC. That is another change that happened in July when the catalog changed, because instead of UCD e-links, now we're saying get it from anywhere in the UC. And this one happens to be online. Good. You can click on that, but all it's going to do is take you to this white online box. And we have a license with this publisher. So when you click on it, you should see the direct article. Now, this is where you're at the mercy of the publisher, because everybody, shows the PDF in a different place on their webpage, but this one's very nice. They actually have it in green, really noticeable. And that's your citable version with the page numbers. They might have an HTML version too. I like the HTML version or the XML version because sometimes the graphics and the figures may be exportable or expandable. So you can extract them if you wanted to kind of put them, make sure you cite. And you could include that in your paper if you wanted to. Okay, so that was everything about biosis. Let's go back to search. Keep in mind, Zorecord is the same interface, right? What I would suggest for those of you interested in Zorecord, this would be for something that is pretty much only studied in the wild, okay? So the animal is not a model organism. For example, zebrafish, whoever's got that one, your problem is tens of thousands of records because zebrafish is a model organism about development in other areas. So you're going to have to drill down quite a bit to get not tens of thousands of results. Zorecord, though, if it's something that's, so I was thinking of the devil's pupfish, but even devil's pupfish isn't in here. Sorry, person. So what you need to do is get that genus species name. And off of your course guide, there's a really cool free tool. It is so cool. I know it's not peer reviewed, but it's really neat. Sorry, I'm going the wrong direction here. Which is called Fishbase. Anybody use that? Probably talked about it maybe. It's out of the World Fish Center, used to be in the Philippines. I used to know the librarian there. They moved it to Malaysia, but they have this amazing database and you can get your genus species and your maps, distribution maps, photos from there if you want. Zorecord, I'm not going to show you anything more. Aquatic Sciences and Fisheries abstracts. Do I have even a minute? I have 2 minutes. Okay. So do you want to do the ocean sunfish or the leafy leafy sea dragon? Oh, yeah. Okay. They're so beautiful. They have them at the Scripps Aquarium. Obviously, they have them at Monterey, but okay. So Aquatic Sciences Fisheries abstracts. So leafy sea dragon, what environmental regime is it found in? I don't think we're gonna have any problem because the name is so unique. Marine, right? Environmental regime, marine. Remember your quotation marks. All one word. Wild card, okay? I'll leave it anywhere, but notice this, peer reviewed. So your 15 have to be, beyond 15, it could be books, other things that aren't peer reviewed, but isn't that cool? It gives you that information. In biosis, if you see the bibliography and the citation, that means that your item is peer reviewed. Okay, if you see a link to the bibliography, which is the second number down. Okay, so let me click on search here. Not too much about the leafy sea dragon, which is actually not a surprise, but keep in mind, I would probably also look in Zorecord for this because of course, it is kept in a few aquariums, but a lot of studies might've been done in the wild environment as well. Now, the one thing is you don't see that you get it at UC, it's this find a copy. Click on that and then you'll see the get it at UC and then it works the same. Any questions? Thank you all. Have fun searching.